Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and we're joined once again by Mark Gonzales over at First National Bullion. And by the way, we are dealing with a Roman level debt crisis right now. It's absolutely historic. We are seeing exactly what happened right before Rome fell, actually, and we're witnessing federal debt hit $37 trillion for the first time. Once it hit 20, at that point, it doesn't really matter that much how high it goes. We just know you can't get out of it. It's absurd. It's a epitome of absurdity because we're being told that it's all sunshine and daisies. We're being pissed on. It's not rain. U.S. wholesale inflation has risen 3.3% in July, while we're being told that inflation is going down. This is not the case when you actually look at the things that people need the most. Global food prices have surged to 2-year highs amid this supply crunch we're witnessing right now. Totally manufactured, by the way. And of course, this idea that DOGE was going to cut all the spending. DOGE has failed to save money, but excelled at spreading AI everywhere. $500 billion bills towards AI, another trillion in total with Saudi Arabia, then a $3.3 trillion budget, and insane amounts of spending on war. I mean, it's so absurd that we're going to tell ourselves that everything is great. In Keynesian economics, things will look good for a little while until they, capitulate later on and put you in a serious crisis. Now, we've talked about the debt crisis recently, the events that are coming out of this. Of course, we talked about the record $100 billion Treasury bill issuance in a video recently. This is all getting to a point of no return, and this is all happening as we're witnessing the Federal Reserve's gold revaluation strategy in the face of the U.S. debt crisis. So we're going to go into this with Mark right away. I mean, the U.S. posted a $291 billion deficit in July, the highest for that month in 4 years, while spending nearing pandemic era levels, despite no national emergency. I say there is a national emergency, and we're going to dig into that right away. But before we do, I urge you to check that link in the description, firstnationalbullion.com/schedule-consult/ it has to be that exact link. It's in the description. There you can avoid the CBDC system that is to come, and it certainly is to come in the face of this. And you could buy physical gold, silver, platinum, or palladium. You could hold that gold in your hands, put it in a vault, put it in an IRA outside of that traditional IRA system, and of course, get an appointment for a free consultation with Mark Gonzales and a complimentary investors package. Just let him know in the comments of the forum that you found him at World Alternative Media, or WAM, WAM. All right, Mark. Links in the description, by the way. Again, make sure to check it out. Get prepared. This is crazy. We're seeing a $37 trillion federal debt. It with all said and done, it's even higher than that generally. But I mean, the point is, this is beyond the point of no return. Add in inflation, add in the shift between the dollar and the BRICS countries and the new world reserve currency system that they're developing. Add in the fact that they're bringing in digital IDs and CBDCs across the board. What do you think about this debt crisis, and why do people keep saying Biden said that there's no inflation and everything was fine when it clearly wasn't? Trump is doing the same thing. How can we diagnose this very real problem that everyone feels when they go to the grocery store?
Well, the first thing to diagnose is you go to the grocery store, you put gas in your tank, you know that inflation's not what is being propagated to us. And as far as Biden, I mean, the guy can't even tie his shoelaces. So if anybody's trusting government or these government official numbers, I don't know what to tell you. You're not awake, you're not aware, and you're not thinking wholeheartedly or thinking for yourself. But hey, we knew it. So 37 trillion, and we're still spending more, and tariffs haven't done a damn thing. Okay, so here's the interesting thing. I want to speak on the tariffs. A little side note on all this tied together with the surveillance state. So Trump is going around with these countries that he's introducing or imposing tariffs on, and then he's making arrangements with the government saying, hey, you want us to relax these tariffs a little bit? You want to get back on the right track for you economically? Then tell you what, you need to get on the bandwagon with the new digital surveillance system. And that is exactly why Mexico, I found out, is pushing as fast as they have. They have been talking to the White House here in this country, and you will soon see tariffs being reduced off of Mexico. And guess what? We're going to have the digital system by February. So these tariffs really, they're not about, again, China bad. We want other countries to take advantage of us because that's the purpose of a reserve unit. You export inflation and manufacturing until it crumbles under your own weight. Then you have to go through evaluation. You can't.
Well, speaking of China, Mark, I mean, the U.S. propped up China in the first place and used them as a guinea pig state for technocracy and the digital system. The World Economic Forum says that China is a role model for the Great Reset. So it's like the U.S. committed suicide on purpose to create a crisis to bring in a digital system that mimics the very country they claim to be fighting.
So order out of chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where we heard that before. Um, Debt is money, so you can never pay off the debt. It was never an intention to pay off the debt. The intention is always to default and revaluation. That's the only way that you can do it. So tariffs were not about China bad. They're about starting the global market decline and putting your foot in the door with other governments to enforce your will. Exactly what that is. Told you before, my thought and philosophy on DOGE. DOGE was not about finding out where the bad guys are, where erroneous spending is, and bloated government is. It was all about going through an accountant. So think about this personally. If you go to a bankruptcy attorney and you schedule a consultation and you sit down with them and say, you got to go to bankrupt, what are they going to do? They're going to put a form in front of you. They're going to ask you a bunch of questions. They're going to know, okay, how much assets do you have? Where are those assets at? How much debt you have? What is every penny owed? And that is exactly what DOGE is going to be. So in finding out all this bloated government or mismanagement, what another beautiful way to bring in AI technology. And that is something that he has expressed concern for doing. Trump is for it, obviously, with his $500 billion into AI technology, and
then we have, of course, we have the Genius Act, we have the Stable Act, we have the European Union launching their CBDC now. By October at the latest. We're now in the middle of August. I mean, we are coming up on that real fast, and we've done videos before talking about. I think 198 countries worldwide are developing CBDCs. We're going to see a lot of them all be pushed into one big basket, kind of like special drawing rights in a way, but with these digital currency system all in one big basket, and the big one has the most voting power. But at the end of the day, you as individuals won't have any voting power because they're going to be using your money against you. So you will have to comply if you want to be able to access your money or access food or access the things that you feel like, that you definitely need in your life. So I think that's a big red flag going forward. And that's definitely something Trump is working on. Trump said he didn't want a CBDC. The Federal Reserve says they're not going to work on a CBDC. However, when you bring in the Genius Act and you bring in the stablecoin KYC, know your customer laws in that, it's surveillance, full on surveillance, and they'll offset it onto what they'll call a private corporation. What they'll say, the Fed is a private corporation as it is, but on banks like Bank of America, et cetera. And then those guys are going to regulated internally, and then they're going to say, hey, we're not government, we're not mandating you, but if you want a bank account at any major bank, then you're going to have to deal with this. And on top of that, of course, the Congress voted to not allow the stable coin legislation to be used for CBDCs, but they don't have enough voting power in the Senate. So that was just smoke and mirrors, so they could tell the public they're not going to bring in a CBDC. Once it goes to the Senate, it's unavoidable. Almost everyone in the Senate is in favor of a CBDC, and it's going to be one stipulation of the legislation that says there won't be a CBDC will be thrown out. I promise you that, because again, we're witnessing this almost every country in the world, and they're going to claim that it's not government doing it. They're going to claim it's private corporations, but really the private corporations are just a shadow of the state in the first place. And of course, the shadow government that we're dealing with that's launching this everywhere. And no, it's not Trump's fault. It's not Biden's fault. It wasn't Bush's or Obama's fault. It wasn't Clinton's fault. These guys are presidents. These guys are the people that stand behind the podium. The reality is this was planned a long time ago, and regardless of who the president is, you will be dealing with it if your money's all stuck in the bank. Sorry, carry on, Mark.
No, well said. Well, where do we pick up where we left off? Let's talk a little bit about gold and how this stuff comes in. Obviously, I deal with gold. That's what I primarily focus on, that gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. Would love to help you. Click the link below, fill out the information. I've had a lot of success helping people. But as I've been saying for a long time, and as you already know, gold, debt is money. They're one and the same. So $37 trillion with interest growing and compounding, coupled in the fact that just the last video we did was a 4-week, $100 billion treasury stopgap that shows desperation to a country that just simply is trying to get enough to pay its interest on it. And interestingly enough, something that I don't think you're going to be hard pressed to find, but I remember reading that you had the Treasury report, I believe it was fourth quarter 2019, that said at the current burn rate, U.S. wouldn't be able to pay its inflation by 2024. Mm-hmm. So it seems like that's accurate, even though you can't find this. So you can't get rid of this debt unless you want to get rid of money. The only way you can do is default and revalue, but you have to have a counterpart. Okay. So when they're talking about the revaluation with gold, they're talking about gold on the balance sheet with the 8,000 metric tons plus that the U.S. has. It's only valued at about $8 billion at $42. So why not raise the shit to 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, raise it to 20,000. And then you take the debt to GDP from 1 to 20, 120, you take that down all the way to like 70, 80. So you give yourself a little bit of do-over because, again, I can't stress this enough. It's all about the accounting. The current accounting measure of what prices the entire world via the exchange is going away, people. It is going away. Now you got this talk about a gold revaluation. Yes, they might even revalue gold. So front run that and start getting involved in the market now before the next shoe drops and this thing starts taking off. Benefit from the spoils, but also keep in mind that the gold price has to rise to a certain level to offset the entire default. So you're talking 150 plus $1 trillion to cover what Isaac Newton put as the head of the Royal Mint in 1717, pinned 40% coverage of a default or debt or a monetary base. So what does our gold reserves have to be at to cover 40% of 150 trillion? You're talking a number bigger than what Bitcoin is trading for now. And this is no joke. These are the reasons that they revalued the gold in 33. It's the reason that other countries done. I hate to tell you too, but it's just simply our term. You don't have a reserve currency status, export inflation, manufacturing, live off the spoils, and expect it to last forever. Mathematically, it's impossible. This is the point in time we're at.
Well, and people that were more libertarian used to understand that central planning does not solve the problems of central planning. And these days, people are like, well, the tariffs, they'll work. Don't worry. Just wait and see. Well, okay. While the hardcore fear mongers that said the tariffs will destroy the economy within 2 weeks were wrong, so were the people that claim that this is going to be extremely beneficial for the U.S. long term, because at the end of the day, it ends up in the hands of the consumer having to pay more on the market. And we see this idea of, well, if this ends all tariffs across the board, that would be a great thing. Absolutely, it would be, but it's not doing that because it's all manufactured chaos to bring in this new digital system. Ancient Rome did very similar things. That's why I mentioned it at the beginning of this video. I went over an old documentary I made in 2019 called The Fall of Empires, which you could find on our channel. But I was going over it, making some clips out of it for TikTok and Instagram and stuff. And I'm remembering, yeah, ancient Rome under Diocletian at one point saw a 43,000% increase in inflation. 43,000% increase. And in that time, to mitigate the crisis, they were coin clipping. They were bringing in Diocletian's edicts, telling people where they can or cannot work, making trade deals across the board that didn't benefit anyone at the end of the day, very similar to what we see with tariffs today. And basically, all this stuff leads to, they will, in the end point of an empire, work as hard as they can to central plan their way out of the problems that were created by their very central planning. We need to understand how this goes in a circle and how this will affect you long term, no matter how much they come in and try to fix it. Putting band-aids on it, in Keynesian economics, it looks good for a few years. Everything Keynesian economics works for 3 to 5 years. Totally. Massive central planning, it makes it look good. But, we have to actually think long term here, zoom out and see how that affects us in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years, because we've been doing this for so long, adding to the bubble so much for 100 plus years. We need to get closer to reality and understand what makes you safe in the face of this. They are bringing in the digital system. They are destroying the economy. They are impoverishing people, because the most impoverished people are the easiest people to control. And then what can you do about it? Well, withdrawing from that system and understanding that depending on the banks, depending on the grocery stores, depending on the grid, is not how you will seek freedom. If you want to be free, you could be as awake as you want. If you aren't prepared properly, then you will succumb to the same problems as the people that are completely asleep. So it's very important that people understand this and withdraw from that system. And I think one of the great ways to do that, my friends, is by actually checking that link in the description. So we have firstnationalbullion.com/schedule-consult/. It has to be that exact link again. And that link is in all the descriptions of all of our videos. If you ever have an issue finding it, it's down there on Rumble, BitChute, sometimes on YouTube at World Alternative Media. But there you can avoid that incoming system that is going to be on your, it's not just on your doorstep, it's already breaking down your door. You could hear the knocking, you could hear the kicks, you could hear the battering ram, and it's about time that you might actually do something to protect yourself now before the door is broken down. You could buy physical gold, silver, platinum, or palladium there. You could hold that gold in your hand, put it in a vault, put it in an IRA outside of the traditional IRA system. Like I mentioned, a lot of people are in that old style system. And people might say, well, gold is an old style system. It's wealth insurance. It's not the same tricks of the major banks that are trying to basically collateralize your money. Schedule an appointment for a free consultation with Mark Gonzales. When you go to that link, you can get a complimentary investors package when you sign up. And of course, as always, my friends, let him know in the comments of the forum that you found him at World Alternative Media, or WAM, WAM. And I know this is a real solution for you. So I hope people take it seriously, because this is a real headline. This is happening. I urge people to stop saying, we'll wait to see what happens. We've been watching and waiting to see what happens, and it's been happening again and again and again for years on end, and we've been normalized to massive amounts of inflation. We've been normalized to spending $60 on a damn steak at the grocery store, spending in some places, depending on where you are, and especially in rural communities, like $40 for chicken breast. Are you kidding me? I mean, you can have chickens in your backyard. I mean, it's crazy. We've gotten to this point where we've been normalized to it. Well, we'll wait to see if chicken hits $100. No, you don't want to be in that situation when it comes. You need to, again, preserve your wealth, because as AI digital infrastructure is coming in, the big banks are running to gold. There's a shortage across the board. People are rushing to get in line to prepare themselves. Don't be the person left behind, my friend. So anyway, I appreciate you going into this, Mark. Any final words when we close this off, going and getting that consultation with you, and hopefully, taking this issue more seriously, because a lot of people are just not taking it serious enough.
I think people are taking it serious. It's on the front end of their mind, but they're just not taking action because either a deer in headlights or just life simply gets in the way. Hey, I get it. But it's really important when you choose to work with someone, choose with someone that has the experience, has a reputable reputation, and has the right products to sell. Because it's not just buying gold and silver. You need to have the right products going into the stuff. First National Bullion been in business for over 20 years. I've been in this industry for over 2.5 decades. I'd love to help you. And on a side note, one thing people need to know that, as I've said before, the reserves for currency or asset reserves of other countries dominated in dollars. It's gone from like 70% to like 50%. Yeah. The euro used to hold the second place spot. Do you know what holds the second place spot now?
What?
Gold. Right. So it's already dethroned the euro. Pretty soon it's going to dethrone the dollar. Don't wait until this happens. Get your protection now.
Absolutely. Check that link in the description. Get prepared today, and make sure, as always, to hit that like button, share on social media, hit the notification bell. Find us on Rumble and BitChute specifically. Those are the places I want you guys to go and subscribe. But of course, you can subscribe on TikTok, Instagram, of course, X at World Alt Media, and all those places. Make sure to find that link in the description. Take responsibility over your finances going forward. I know this could be an argument among a lot of couples, what to do with the money going forward, but we have to understand this is reality. We are seeing this stuff happen in real time, and we need to take action now, not later. You want to be on the outside looking in, not on the inside looking out. So again, those links are in the description, firstnationalbullion.com/schedule-consult/, and we will be seeing you very soon with a lot of new updated videos and reports. So make sure to stay tuned for that. And as always, thank you, Mark. This is Josh Sigurdson and Mark Gonzales signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.